WeRiseMag.com.
Hi everyone, I'm Nikki Cosplay, and I've been cosplaying for about 5 years now, and I like to do like video game characters or just any character that I really like, because I like being characters that I like, so.
That's what you're supposed to do. Don't let anyone lie to you.
From Knights of Braxium. I've been a Jedi addict, Knight for several years now, and currently, as you can see, I've been working in Northwest and the beats of that, and I've been doing armor working and this kind of thing for about a year and a half now.
I've been cosplaying since 16, so about 8 years. I've done anything from fandom video game characters as well as cosplaying original characters. I've been a member of the Knights of Braxium for a few months now, but yeah, that's it.
Hi, I'm Hamriel. I'm a member of Empire Saber Guild, another local group. I've been a member for about a year. I've been cosplaying and making my own stuff for a little bit longer than that, maybe 3 years. That's it.
Hi. I'm Steve. I play Joga Crosswood in Empire Saber Guild. I've been doing Saber Guild for almost a year now. I've been doing sabering in general for 6-7 years, and I've been cosplaying since I was 17, so that's about 9 years of cosplaying.
My name's Matt. I'm the director of Empire Saber Guild. Saber Guild started in the West Coast in Anaheim, Cali. They are an official, George Lucas approved lightsaber performance, costuming and charity group, nonprofit group. Recently we've started the New York Temple, their sister temple over here, and we've been rocking house for about a year and a half now. And I'm the one who's twisting their arms into getting into official standards. So that's me, and I've been cosplaying funny stuff before that. Favorite is Macho Man Randy Savage, actually outside of Jedi. And what's me? Anyways, it works better with glasses. But just I love it. I love it all.
Hey guys, my name is Walter. I'm a member of the 501st Sith Lord Detachment 21213, and also a member of Empire Saber Guild. And the only thing I can really say is Vader, 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 and more Vader. I've been wanting to be a Vader for a long time.
And we've been wanting to fight Vader for a long time.
Even though I'm a member of the 501st, I have a unique opportunity to actually do saber combat with Empire Saber Guild, which I think no other group does, and I'm honored to be a part of all of that. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, man, I just saw you. Come on now.
Just throw me into the
I just saw you. Oh, it's better for them.
Basically, we were going to talk a little bit about the materials that we've been working with to create these costumes.
And please ask questions.
More economically minded among us, here, to some people who are willing to put a little more bang into their butt, but are willing to do the work to make it happen. So, personally, I don't know about most of you, but I assume a fair amount of you are college students on a very, very, very small budget. So one of the things that I want to assure you of is this whole get-up costs me more than $45 when everything's said and done. The biggest thing I found about making costumes economically is that you have to be willing to think outside the box in terms of your materials, and you have to be willing to experiment. You're going to lose money along the way when you first start doing costumes. The fact of the matter is, not everything's going to fit. there's always more work to do in terms of fitting, in terms of working materials, in terms of learning what you're working with. This particular stuff is made out of the same floor mats you might step on in some places. But the point is, with the right tools, I can turn that from something I'm stepping on and leaving my shoe print on into stuff like this. So it's really one of the sort of interesting things about this cosplay stuff.
Any questions? I had nothing prepared for a speech. It's just like last minute. Oh.
Whoa, relax. They're just people. Well, basically the panel's all about you guys, so we want to ask us questions.
I usually start off a little bit different with him. I do sketching out. I draw my costumes and then do measurements and make templates. I don't know how to use sewing machine, but I have a friend who does. So essentially, I just make materials and machines put together. So, you know, sometimes it helps out. And I do a little tweaking out and accessories because they said we're not. So if I was going to draw a part, she just do.
Do you find you ever have to make compromises between what you draw and what you actually end up wearing?
Yeah, especially the piece that I'm working on right now. I don't
That's like-
have the rose.
If anybody thinks our final costumes are the first ones we've made, it is a lie. Don't let
That's
anyone
true.
ever tell you that it is not true.
Yeah, even
Not
doing
true.
catering like I have, I've talked about 4 versions
I have
of
one.
I'm supposed to have a
costumes,
chest
different
plate.
elements,
I
different
have
suits,
parts
different
of
capes.
this.
So I can concur with everybody.
So I have a chest plate. I'm debating on whether or not to go with vacuum form or cut metal plate or just foaming, either by molding, heat molding, or very similar to what he did, is kind of different pieces and doing fabricate plates. His is a different chest plate style than what I'm doing, so it's kind of like.
It's all about
It's more Mandalorian style, so I'm not sure if you've seen Mandalorian armor before.
Boba Fett.
Hell yeah.
Where it's in pieces. So you have to figure out that and figure out how to attach it to gun suit. So sometimes people use Velcro, other people will actually just use a t-shirt with the on the t-shirt itself. And slide it on
The power of Velcro. The trick with Velcro, one thing, is that there's 2 types of Velcro. There's sticky Velcro, which you use to hang up stuff, and then there's sewing Velcro. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so when you're fighting, especially with us, we have tabards, and these things like to do this when we're fighting. This is doesn't really look so great.
Usually
So I
Jedi just
have
use the Force to keep them up.
these little Velcros that match my piece. Now, you don't have to match most of the time, but it's always good if you can. And these were sewn on. I took a sewing machine and made a square.
But that's with sew-on Velcro. It does not have a sticky
easy
end.
background.
You don't want something with glue on it going in the washing machine.
Yeah.
Or your sewing machine. That is a bad idea.
Yes.
Yeah, you will break needles. You will break needles.
Yeah, break the needles, your hand.
Have a sticky
everything else.
Velcro. The sticky Velcro has to be hand sewn, has to be reinforced, but it is pretty durable. All kind of stuff. It has a rubberized backing, so that makes it tougher to sew through. But the advantage of it is you can place it before you decide where it ultimately ends up, so you get to test it out.
Also, when she was talking about like heat forming, if anyone doesn't know exactly what that is, that's the use of certain materials. Like there are multiple types of foam. There is Wonderflex, which people commonly use. Yes, a beautiful material, a tricky material, but a beautiful material that if you have the magic tool, a heat gun, or you can even use a hair dryer.
I've used a hair dryer in a hotel multiple times. So.
Yeah. You can form what would be regular foam to contour to your body or to make wrist gauntlets with. But it's a wonder what certain materials they have out there. Isn't there anything other than Wonderflex?
Warblove.
Yeah, Warblove. Yeah, Warblove.
And all of this, you need a template beforehand. Do not skin contact. Please don't skin contact. None of this is done on you. It's done on separate pieces that you create based on your body.
Any of you who do cosplay yourself, if you haven't seen if there is a way to make your own press form, you just take a t-shirt duct tape and you can get a friend and literally duct duct tape your entire chest and shoulders. And yeah.
One of the most important things is comfort, especially if you're going to be in the costume for long durations. You want to make sure you're as comfortable as humanly possible. Because after a while, I mean, especially with the big guy here, it starts to run on you after a while, but comfort is definitely a key.
He's lucky because when we say there's a Vader, they'll be like, oh, we have a separate room for him to relax and take his helmet off, because else we're going to have a Vader on the floor for a while.
Related to that, it's also a matter of I'm sure you understand when you're crowded into places like this, whether it's a panel hall or the dealer's room, it gets hot. So part of the material is having something that can take a little bit in terms of the weather outdoors, but mainly in terms of the outdoor environment. If you're dealing with something where you're sweating bullets every 5 minutes, you're not going to be on your feet very long whether you have a helmet on or not.
That also goes back to realizing you guys are human and you're not animated or a character, so always find ways to fix it, like whether a fan or, like I do a lot of leather pieces, so you just like add like mesh somewhere so you can actually breathe. So there's a lot of information online about stuff like that too. So.
Yeah, I concur with my colleague on that. One of the pieces that I have upstairs, you guys will see me walking around with it later, in full costume, is the one-piece leather suit. It actually has a mesh chest and an open back on it, so that this way you're able to ventilate yourself a little bit better, because the amount of heat buildup that's in the costume, I mean, you would literally last maybe a half hour to 45 minutes at most.
Does that
If you didn't have that? Well, as far as the helmet is concerned, my colleagues are asking, within the helmet, for example, I've added fans to the inside, and anybody that you see that does high-end costumes such as Vader or Boba Fett or Stormtroopers, more than likely they have the whole thing drilled out with ventilation holes or some sort of ventilation system and fans, so that this way you're able to get fresh air in there, because once again, like with the suit or even with my colleagues in their costumes, the heat will build up real fast, so you got to make sure, once again, that you're comfortable, you're well ventilated, and you're able to be able to stay out there for a long period of time, especially if you're doing photos and stuff, because the fans, especially in the Star Wars community, or
One more picture. I'm eating pizza. Can I have a picture? I'm eating. Is that a thing? It's the worst.
Yes, there goes to cosplay etiquette. If you see someone sitting in their cosplay costume,
there's a reason why.
Yeah, please just give them a moment.
I remember back before I became going into official costuming, I made a Sith character, and the original costume was this trip trench coat that weighed as much as I did, heavy makeup, sweatpants that looked like they could pass for Star Wars pants, military boots, gloves, and I was dying, and I did that for like 2 years before I'm like, okay, this ain't worth it anymore, and I ended up switching to like light material, lighter ropes.
Yeah. One good example of that is when we did MCU Stadium, when I first joined up in Empire Saber Guild.
That's the Brooklyn Cyclones. We had an event, Star Wars night, and in between innings we would come out and we made a whole show out of it.
I was still going through the approval process through the 501st, but I already had a Vader that was well suited for Empire Saber Guild. It was so hot and so humid, the soles of the boots I had at that time literally came off my feet. It's no joke. If it wasn't for one of the members of Saber Guild that was with us that had epoxy and black electrical tape, I probably would not have been able to walk around. That's how
Everything is in your backpack.
Important
no
tools.
joke. Tape is your best friend.
See, hot food does not live. I live out.
Yeah.
95% of this is hot glue.
No, if something ever happens to your costume, hot glue or just a sewing kit, always keep it in your
Safety
backpack.
measures.
It's something you need because, you know,
Always have
Another
safety.
thing too
safety
is
pins are a good thing.
in terms of flexibility and range of motion, what you intend to do with the cosplay is going to determine how much range of motion and ability to be you're going to be able to obviously, whether you're wearing Jedi robes, armor, whatever, if you plan to do anything stage combat or anything show with, you just can't. So you have to have the right range of motion in order to be able to accomplish that task without either, dislocating a shoulder or something crazy, or tearing apart the costume in the process.
I think that goes into a lot of testing materials,
Yes.
and not just for durability, but when you went into hot glue, every material that you're going to use, if you're going to use any kind of adhesive to it, test what it does, the adhesive does to a scrap of it. Because right now, I have a pretty nice put together piece here, but right here there's a bit of hot glue that I put in, and I put it there. That was the first thing I put on there, first bit of hot glue, and I said, oh, it went through. So the rest had to be a different type of glue, because I was in a rush, as we all are. Time is our enemy.
Yeah, I agree.
Life is our
And
enemy.
yeah.
If I could just cosplay like every 5 seconds of my life, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Have like a job.
if we just didn't need sleep.
Sleep?
God, what is that?
What cosplayer sleeps?
What's that again?
I have something to say about this armor. With armor, so how many of you have played Smash Bros? So you know Mark, how he wears armor on his chest and he has pauldrons. So when I made that, I made it out of Warbler, which is a bit expensive, but it's really nice material. And after I put it all on, I was so happy, but then I realized I couldn't really move, and I had to have people put my shoes on for me because I couldn't bend over because the chest plate would cut into my ribs. And also, I couldn't really take full breaths, but it looked great, but that was cool. But keeping in mind, like, making them practical is also a good idea because you want to be able to, like, walk and not have to, like, shuffle your way everywhere. It gets really tiring. So
I can elaborate on that, especially with my particular costume. A lot of the pieces have been made by individual makers for the sake of comfort, strictly for comfort. Even sitting down with some of these costumes could become a challenge. So certain guys take it upon themselves to do months and months and months of research. And one particular area is the cod piece for Vader in particular, where I've gone through about 4 or 5 different pieces myself. And
He is the cod master. Sorry. Sorry.
And once you go through all the research and you find guys that make high quality, high end stuff, you could find stuff that's more flexible. You can find alternatives to more expensive materials, so that this way you can actually move your shoulders around. You're able to twist up the hips and all of that sort of thing. I'm sure my colleagues have gone through points where you actually get stuck in your own costume once in a while.
The same thing when people are doing things for you.
Yeah, it
Can
does
you like
happen.
pick up my pen? I dropped it. It's terrible. Scratch my nose, please.
If you do a good enough costume and you get sponsored or something, then yeah, you could have that camera guy who follows you around and takes pictures and makes sure that you're hydrated and your costume's all together, but most of the time you don't. But the good thing about it is a lot of times you cosplay with friends, and your friends are always helping you out. Like,
They
right?
hate me. My
Yeah.
friends hate me
As
so
a
much.
girl, it should just be have fun with it. Let's just say at the base of it. I mean, it's a labor of love. It's a very expensive labor of love.
Oh,
but
yeah.
there's
We give
also
up our life
probably
for this.
a lot more worse things we could be using that money anyway. So
Like food. Question?
yeah.
This is for each one of you. What is your favorite material to work with, and how has this impacted your past life?
Well, I said it before. I love leather. If I can find a way to put leather in any one of my costumes, I do. It is the greatest material I've ever learned how to use, and it's just a lot of fun. And a lot of pieces on any costume can have that effect, kind of. Especially, I cosplay a lot of video game characters, so a lot of their textures look like leather. Even if they're not, I'm like, yes, that could be leather, that could be leather, that could be leather, that could be leather, and I'll go out.
And what's good about leather as a material is it's breathable. It's not like
It can
PVC
be.
or pleather. In certain situations, I mean, once again, I got to refer to my costume. The thing, if you don't have a good leather material, you're gonna roast. But at least with the, I guess your materials. As long as you get good respiration in the thing, you're not gonna really hurt. It is actually a wonderful material to be with. Because I had a Ruby's costume originally when I first started, and it's a one-piece space suit. We call it the oven in the 501st community because it's just so ridiculous to wear. You can last 10 minutes at a time with the thing, but once I switched up to the leather suit, it just made a hell of a lot of difference.
And the movements are better too.
Yeah.
Next.
I'm the worst picking ever and every material imaginable because I'll just go to Joann's or Walmart and I'll be like, it's the same color, it stretches enough, fine. And I always buy a dark extra just in case because I'm guaranteed to mess up. So extra is better in any situation.
Or you could even like a lot of us do. I'm really bad because I don't like patterns. I don't use patterns. I just kind of go for it. But taking like white cotton that costs like a cent to buy and making the costume beforehand in a material that's almost similar, so you're saving money and then you know what you're doing the second time around.
Smart.
And yeah, you have to pattern it later.
So I like to work with Orla, which is, it's a heatable plastic, so that's like similar to Wonderflex, it's similar, you can work with like foam and stuff like that. It's something that bends with heat, and it's really fun to work with. I was really afraid to work with it at first, but thought I was gonna burn myself. I thought I was gonna like make it really ugly and
Don't
spend a
lie
lot.
to them.
I have not burned myself.
I burned myself at least like 3 times.
I thought I would spend a lot of money just to mess up, but actually it's really fun to work with, and you feel really accomplished after you've made like a really durable piece of armor. You're like, I can like take a hit with this. Makes you happy. I don't know if you can test it, but
Them's fighting words.
So, one Mandalorian in the room. Obviously, you guys see I've been working on this foam stuff for a while, so it's my favorite material so far. I won't say forever, because obviously things can change. It's really been great because it's great to see the process from design, the tagging the cardstock to the individual pieces to completion. It's a process. It's an organic process.
What kind of foam is that?
The foam you see that interlocks for like formats is the same stuff you see here. Yeah, it's very basic, it's closed cell foam, so, you know, the biggest thing I found in terms of painting has been making sure you properly seal the stuff beforehand, because foam will absorb gallons of paint before you can really put a stop to it. I personally used Mod Podge, which is kind of a cosplay mainstay, and also over that some coats of plastic tape, which normally you see more for automotive. And that combination was enough to seal this off so that when I painted, most of the paint wouldn't disappear into the foam. Honestly, this actual build I've painted twice, and the second time it finally took, because I took the time to do my research at that point and look into the guys who do this, you know, a lot more is their vocation to pick up the information I needed to do it right the second time. So don't be afraid if you screw up. It's okay, because you can always fix things afterwards.
And no one's gonna notice it as much as you do. Just remember
That's
that.
the worst thing. Everyone's like, you're not great, and I'm like, don't lie to me.
Yeah, us in the Vader community, we call it OVD, obsessive Vader disease.
I like that. I like that.
I don't know, I do work a lot with fabrics mostly, but a lot of my cosplays I kind of do is what I do with thrift shop runs, find pre-made stuff to modify, because it's definitely a lot easier from building from scratch. Or, you know, like this is a term that I got off eBay, stuff that's fairly cheap and easily modified or replaceable should you rip it or burn it or, you know, some sort of mishap.
I love working with two things. Fabric is kind of my thing these days. I have my sewing machine. I actually do my own work.
This is
all my work. All of the fabric and movable pieces.
Even those food castles she made.
Yeah, these are pen caps.
But they actually, in the movie, they use the pen caps too.
I use the same pen caps in the movie, and Sculpey. Don't underestimate Sculpey. It's great for little detail work.
What did you say? Sculpey is Jesus.
Sculpey is Jesus.
Yes. Okay. New bumper sticker.
Is honestly, don't be afraid of a sewing machine. Because once you get the hang of it, it's a beautiful thing. You can do so much work so fast with the sewing machine. Just take a couple of, don't start off with the piece you intend to use. If you've never used a sewing machine before, run a couple of practice rounds to make sure you're going straight. It will take you time to get it, but it will be well worth it. And there is always a pattern for everything. Always, no matter what it is, whether it's a chest piece, whether it's a corset or bodice, whether it's a skirt, there's always a pattern for it out there that you can modify. or even just straight views. You wouldn't believe it, but there are already simplicity pattern mock-ups of Game of Thrones characters. You wouldn't believe it, but they exist. Pretty much right from the movie. And then once you have the pattern, follow it. It's a great guide once you get the hang of it. But don't be afraid to deviate from it slightly. If you think you understand something better, sometimes patterns will make mistakes, so don't be afraid to deviate.
I have it right now, but my robes was a variation over the Rebel Legion standard Jedi robes. I had taken their template and modified it for my use, because mine is a short sleeve robe, because in the long sleeve drawing you can gauntlets. But well, I don't have to show you because it is still in its being made. She actually converted from the machine herself and hand stitches everything. Yeah.
You were gonna say, yeah, no, on top of what she said about starting off with a machine, learn your machine.
Yep.
Look inside the package is there for a reason, because you can, they're very expensive, the needles are expensive, everything about that machine needs to work perfectly or it will be destroyed. So definitely go through your guide and kind of put it together and do it a couple of times, thread it a couple of times. Like, you need to know that machine more than you know yourself.
Just another thing is that for the first 2 years I cosplayed, I did everything by hand, like hand sewing, and it took me weeks and like months to like make a simple dress, and it was ridiculous. And also, just it looked like you could tell it was like hand sewn. I wasn't the best at going straight, and I had a machine, but I was so afraid to use it because I didn't want to like sew my finger off or something. I don't know. But I was just afraid because they go so fast and they're so like it's intimidating. So once I finally actually decided to open it up and learn how to use it, it took like production time. I cut it into half and I was like, are you serious? Is this how everyone does this?
This is how they do this in a week.
One thing that I also love, the second material, is body paint. My other character is a red Twi'lek along the lines of Darth Talon, if you know her. So there are a lot of options for that. It's also something that takes a lot of work, but once you get the hang of it.
Ceiling is your friend. We don't want paint on the walls, or on chairs.
That or alcohol-based paint.
I see mobile Homestuck cosplayers, they know about
Yeah, they're like, I feel it, I know.
I'm sorry, there was
You guys are crazy.
Did you have a question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have a question for her actually. We had this issue, we were discussing this, like, I've done blue, red, purple body paint, I've never had a problem, but every time I see the gray, everyone always has an issue. Is it like the color gray?
It's like the people, I'm gonna answer for her, I'm not their friends, but, and it's kind of, I know. As a kind of the type of people that use the green paint, they don't exactly know how to seal it or to seal it, so that's why it's always really an issue.
Oh, okay. Because I thought we were just trying to figure it out. I was like, I've never used the gray before. So.
Where do you get that? I don't know. So my one plus I can't find it. I'm trying to make the tune on and it's
Online.
It's the only way I get it. We have to get it.
Online. Google it. That's the best way.
The internet's your best friend.
It's the best way to
Definitely
find
the best
stuff cheaply.
Back there? Question?
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Okay. I love cosplaying. Most of the stuff I buy eBay, Etsy. Any advice for someone who is the world's worst sewer?
I got
So if you have the machine, just practice with it. Time will solve that. If you're completely abhorrent to the idea, there's liquid stitch out there which doesn't show your fabric like hot glue does.
But you still
There are
gotta check
special
your
hot
fabric.
glues.
Try it on fabric first.
And
Hemming tape.
if you commission,
Yes,
search
hemming
around
tape is my
before you
best
buy. You never know what you'll find.
There we go.
I personally am a big fan of talking with your commissioner, knowing them, so that you know what you're getting. I don't like buying stuff on the internet, but that's just me. But no matter where you look, search around, find multiple sources before you decide to buy something.
And as she said, hemming tape.
Yeah, hemming
So
tape.
one-
Yeah,
you
hemming tape.
can just iron a
Well,
hem.
well, not even just that. With sewing, like, most of the time we use pins and needles and whatnot to put everything together, but some of the hemming tape, it's double-sided, and I'll put it in and actually sew through it. so that everything is pretty much made and done, and I literally go and sew, and it looks exactly the way I had put it together. So that's a quick fix.
We're all learning.
The whole thing is, if you don't know how to sew, find a friend who does. At least in my case, that's how it goes. My friend Lauren, she does some amazing handmade dresses and stuff. And she did a gorgeous TARDIS party dress for New York Comic Con a few years back. And I saw that and was like,
So it's definitely a good idea to view this not as you just making your costume and back. You know, you have like a broad range of experiences to draw from other people who've done it than you. Chances are, if you're coming up with it, someone else has too. And whether they're in the early stages or later, you know, you draw on their knowledge to add to your own. In the back?
Okay, so I want to do like a robot cosplay, but I don't really know like what the materials are of these. It's like, do you know Fumakuri? It's like Kanzi from that. Like I don't know like how like we get started. Yeah.
I would say probably start off, make a prototype with cardboard.
Yeah. Cardboard is your friend with any type of prop.
You can always coat it in cardboard too with some other things.
Yeah.
You know, after you have it made, you can coat it.
You'd be surprised out there how many like real good costumes, even Iron Man costumes, are cardboard.
I saw some like
You'd be really surprised.
I would probably.
They'll wire it up just like it looks like in a movie, and it'd be
The
nothing
foam
but cardboard.
technique would look really beautiful as long as like she was talking about Warble before. The way Warble looks perfect is because we artistically paint it. We make it beautiful, so it's the same thing. If you can get like the perfect form with foam or like you said cardboard, if you really want to, painting it and contouring and the textures and stuff like that can be done like if you were painting a picture.
Also, foam is a lot easier to move around in, and it's a lot lighter for you. And making the foam, like making it the shape, is only half the project. If you like have one that's like the perfect shape and then wasn't painted or like textured properly, it won't. It's not something. It's gonna look half done. But if you actually you have to take time. There's a lot of different like painting techniques that you have to do because like it adds depth to it, and it won't just look like it's foam.
Invest in an airbrush. That's a thing. Yeah, like $30 if you really want.
I've actually got a few questions. If you could, how would you put ventilation systems in a leather coat?
Leather coat. Besides just very small holes you need to make?
I could actually get into this one. There's two methods you can do. The first one is to actually add mesh someplace where it's not going to be seen.
Under the armpits, always. I always put mesh with leather under the armpits. So basically what you would do is you curl the material, kind of close it off, and then sew the mesh in the back. It's so easy, and you'll breathe. I mean, you're going to sweat. It's going to feel disgusting, but it's helpful.
Yeah, when I cosplayed this for like a year, that's like 2 years ago. So I got this long coat, the whole thing's made out of leather, and there was this one day I wore it in 90-degree weather.
Yeah, about that.
They also sell silicone freezer packs too that come in various sizes. If you look on the internet, they actually have shirts and vests that actually have like this silicone material that you actually stick in your freezer overnight and it freezes over and then you can wear it. I have a couple of them.
Even if you had a normal coat that you wanted to modify, just put a little pocket on your back, the small of your back.
Yeah, if you have a flap or something, just cut it underneath it.
Yeah, make a little inside pocket. Take a freezer pack or gel pack, stick it in the freezer for half an hour before you leave.
Joga, did you want to? I'm sorry, we just didn't get the. I don't know if you want to say your material you like to work with or anything. Sorry.
It's not so much as a material as much as a method. I'm a diverse person at heart. I don't think it's a good idea to just stick to one material because each costume would require something different from it. Now, I myself, I don't sew or anything. I'm one of those thrift store guys. But if you want to see a good example of how to take something in your closet and turn it into a costume, I got 2 examples. For one, my Jedi pants are Doctors, but with a robe over it, you'll never tell.
Always adjusting each other though.
You're always
Oh, look.
boss.
He's a
I
Jedi
can't
now.
find
Right.
these are dancing.
In case his legs get cold, he can stick ice pocket.
You put boots on, you're good. Second of all, outfit looks good, right? Looks completely professional, right? I bet none of you would know the inner tube is actually my middle school graduation robe. I've been using this from day one.
Bit of old, a bit of new.
And it used to be my outer tunic before I became official as my inner tunic.
Oh.
I agree, Master Chief. That is amazing.
Yeah, can you fix that, Tucker?
Yeah.
Certainly.
If fourth doctor could stand up for a second. I've noticed some stuff about your costume. How much of that have you got from either your closet, a thrift store, or from some clothes store besides the scarf? Or the sonic screwdriver?
Everything I got is stuff that I wear to work.
There you go.
There you go. The only thing that you probably had bought for the costume was the scarf, the sonic, things that you would have to get.
And I have an umbrella that serves as a walking cane, and it's cool.
Meg Griffin. How'd you require that costume?
Mostly out of my closet. This was like $3 on eBay. Glasses were about $2, sorry, flowers. And then one that said Dave & Buster's.
I know you did order those badges on eBay.
I actually got them at the Boston.
I was there too.
Were you really?
Yeah.
It's such a small community.
But let's talk with Taco for Homestuck cosplayers. I cosplay as a gate as well. So
We have about like 15 minutes left, so we're gonna open it up for questions.
I'm just gonna quickly throw out just leather pieces I worked on, just because I like leather too, so you can see leather work.
has there ever did this one?
Wigs. I am terrible with wigs, and I bet any Homestuck can agree that Hossie is evil and makes hair impossible to do. How do you style your wigs?
Oh god, there's so many ways.
Well, there's a really good thing you can use. It's called Got To Be, and it's a really good holding spray. So it's like it comes in this huge bottle, and you spray it. So, say if you need to make like spikes or something, you would. Well, obviously you have to cut the spikes first, which there's a bunch of tutorials on YouTube. You can find anything you need on YouTube, and you spray whatever you want to stick up out of place. And then you put on a light setting, like cool air from your blow dryer, and it should stay. You just need to, do it a couple of times and fix it up after you've worn it once or twice and store it properly.
Start with a good wig. That is one of the biggest things cosplayers don't notice, is that one of the most expensive things that should be on you that day that you're cosplaying should be your wig.
Party City.
Yeah. So like, go to Arta, like go to Epic Cosplay, like make sure you get something that's gonna be durable and it's gonna last, because it's like this wig right here is one of my worst wigs ever. I took a chance and bought something from a website I've never been to. It was cheaper, and it's like 3 years old, and it's already like it should look perfect.
But another thing you do is that I order off of eBay stores a lot. Is that I've been doing it for a long time, so I know which stores to buy from. As long as you read the reviews and it doesn't have anything bad, or they have to have a lot of reviews first off. Don't buy from a store that has 5 reviews. It's not a good idea, because you don't know. But if they have a lot of reviews and it's all positive, 99.8 minimum, yeah, that's the minimum that they can have.
We deal with this issue in the 501st community, because there are guys that do casting, for example, like with all the stuff I have here. This is all made by somebody in their garage, in their house, or something. And when you see guys putting stuff up on eBay, more than likely it's probably going to break, it's going to crack, it's going to shatter. I'm sure you guys had some bad experiences once in a while, especially with the higher end costumes. Research is important. eBay sometimes, especially if you're going for a high end costume, you've got to research your costumes. You don't want to just go out and buy a piece and then it falls apart. If you're looking for a standard cosplay thing, that's cool, but for anybody that plans on doing a real high end costume, do your research. There's a couple forums. You got Prop Den, you got the Replica Prop Forum, you got the 501st SLD, even you know, in the Saber Guild, you have some people that give advice on
And a
costumes.
connected helmet.
Yeah, so be, with the higher end stuff, just be a little bit more cautious about what you're buying in case you decide to go that route. You don't want to throw away your hard-earned money on stuff that's just going to break. See, even with the chess box here, this is my older chess box. I wore a brand new one. I just got it 2 days ago. I wore it for all of an hour yesterday and it broke. Now I had to revert back to this one. So be careful what you buy. Buyer beware sometimes.
Anyone else?
If you buy a wig, but it ends up being like Party City type of thing, ends up being like really gross and kind of shiny, do you know if there's like a way to make it kind of look like acceptable?
Go ahead. You can go first, I'll say a second.
I found a tutorial online, and if you have to get a Party City wig, or the thing you got is too frizzy or whatever, there's a recipe on like online or YouTube that's like soak it in like fabric software.
Because I did that and it didn't work. So.
See, I actually, this is a two-way tutorial. So like, if you ever get like patent leather shoes, but you need them to be dulled out, or a wig that's too shiny, acetone. It's nail polish remover. It's like really dangerous and you like have to be ventilated or whatever. But just take gloves, get the pads that you would put your like makeup on or whatever, and you dip it, soak it in acetone, and then you just go through on the wig. It's gonna lighten up the shine a little bit, but not a lot. Honestly, return it, get your money back, and go get something better.
Or another thing you can do if you can't return it is that baby powder, depending on the color of the wig. Like with white wigs, you can use baby powder because obviously you can use as much as you want. You can bathe it in baby powder because no one will ever know. That's what I did for my wig. But like if you have like a dark wig and you want it to make it lighter, like you can use baby powder. It'll make the shade of the wig a little bit lighter, but you have to do it very carefully because it'll leave white marks. And you have to be very careful about how you spread it out, and you have to comb it and comb it, and it's a really long process. So.
Another thing with wigs that you guys could probably better explain is storage of wigs. So if you don't store it correctly, it can become frizzy and terrible after your first use. I don't know if you guys could expand on that.
Well, one of the first things you want to do is always brush your wig before you put it on, and brush your wig like if you can throughout the day while you're wearing it, and when you take it off to put it away. And if it's a styled wig, you don't want to like shove it in a bag because you're gonna have to restyle it, and that's not a great idea. If you can, put it on a wig head if you have. I don't even have a lot of wig heads, but if it's an unstyled wig, you can put it back in the bag when you're done. That's fine, but just make sure you comb it.
Maintenance, there's a bunch of places. Just go to your local like hair store and oil. I oil all my wigs. It keeps them lasting forever. There's a bunch of sprays, detanglers and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that will help you. You can actually renew an old wig too. Not the best idea, but you can. So the same thing. Like I only have like maybe 3 wigs in my lifetime that had stayed on a wig cap because I couldn't put them anywhere.
If you have a long wig, like I cosplay constantly easy, and the pigtails are long. So when you store it, braid each pigtail so nothing gets tangled, and then just put it in like maybe a shoebox and put it in your closet.
Do that with a lightsaber. Point it right in the face and turn it on. I probably should have taken the battery.
Is this a lifestyle or is this a hobby? I mean, do you have a job?
I'll start. In the real world, I'm a graphic designer and a manager for a shoe store. That is what I do in the real world. It is, for me, a hobby. I don't consider it a lifestyle. Not for me, at least. I mean, I do go to a lot of conventions and I do this. The reason I call it a hobby is because a hobby is more joyful. I do this because it's enjoyable. I do it because it's fun. I do it because I want to learn from cosplayers I've never met, maybe veterans and things like that. Like, lifestyle leans more towards like maybe a competition base and something like that. So it's a hobby for me.
That's when it stops getting fun.
Yeah,
when you
like,
start trying to
I want you guys
compete.
to realize, especially if you guys are joining the cosplay competition, the reason we join cosplay competitions is so that you can learn. I don't want you guys to ever think that it is about winning or losing, because it's not.
I just want to have fun.
Yeah, it's have fun, meet the person next to you, ask them how they did this, exactly what you're doing right now. You want to learn from everyone, so that's the reason for that, and that would be why.
This is something that my husband and I have never gone to, but my stepdaughter here is very involved. So
she's sassy, I like her.
Yeah.
Don't be shy.
And we do not understand this aspect.
We're all nerds
That's
here.
why I'm asking, just to learn.
I can, as a father myself, I think I can answer this one. I have a 1-year-old at home. I got forced out of my job. I was a volunteer at the World Trade Center when I was 24. So I've had a myriad of health issues, and my career came to an end. So I decided that I needed a little something more instead of sitting home, and now with a kid, I wanted my daughter to look up and say, man, my daddy's Darth Vader, and at least I can do something good with it. I can go out there, I can make other kids smile, I can put it to good use, and it's one of the best things I've done for myself. I tell you, if your kid loves it and she wants to do it, I'm all for
Just
it.
because to me this kind of stuff doesn't pay the bills unless it is something that
It
you're
is,
doing as an occupation.
it's strictly a hobby, to be honest with you.
And that's why
I've met my best friends through cosplay. I've met like the greatest people I will ever meet in my life.
Me too.
I've had the
I
best
think all of us
moments
agree on
going to
that.
conventions, and I started young too. My first con was I was 12 years old.
And you have to
I went
think-
to a con and it blew me away because not only did I feel like I belonged somewhere, but I also feel like I could be part of something. And there's tons of ways that you can get into a field this way. I mean, like fashion, costume design, anything like that could be a hobby. Like, yeah, if that's what you want to do, that pays the bills. But honestly, that is not what I do for money.
For me, when I first started, like she said, one of the greatest things you make is the friends from the community, because they have been with me through everything. And also I do a lot of stuff. Like, I'm a full-time student, I'm an engineer major, and I work part-time to do paper school. So this is something I do, after I get out of work and I have an hour or two to spare, I'll start working on stuff, because one, it keeps me busy, which is good, because I don't like having time to sit down. I like sitting down, but not idle time. So and
We're passionate people, and if she's passionate, then she's in the right place.
it's stressful. Like, the build up to it is stressful, but the second you get to a convention and you finally get to wear something you put together, for example, the first time I wore this was last month, and I worked 2 weeks straight, every single day, hour on hour on hour. And when I finally put it on and it all came together, I started crying, because I was like, wow, I'm really happy. This is the awesomest feeling in the world, being able to put something on that you really, really worked your hands to the bone to do. And it's a really amazing feeling. And
do you do other things for fun, or is this pretty much?
Yeah, I play video games, I read, I have a bunch of hobbies I like to do, but this is just
Well, you're a
something that
human
takes
being first and foremost, so.
Some people,
I like to eat, I bake, I read, I watch.
That's a stereotype.
I read into that.
My grades are good, I'm still good in school.
Yeah, I have a 4.0, she's an
I'm
engineer.
asking because when we first got here, there was one man that came up to us and opened up his coat and said, welcome to weirdness. And I thought that was very odd.
I mean, every community has
Sometimes,
their-
I think we even all say that, even with myself, and I think better, any one of us that's sitting at this table, and even you guys, some people will really, really, really get into their character or whatever it is, I mean, some people are intense with it.
But that extreme could be to any level. That could be with video games. That could be. I've seen it even worse in sports.
Yeah, and that's,
it's no different than any sports.
I think it brings up a good point. It's what you do with your time. You could say we spend a lot of time on this and a lot of money on this, but what do other people do on the weekend? They go to bars and they'll sometimes spend up to $100 at a bar, when we can spend $100 and make something like this and be very proud of it instead of waking up with a hangover the next day.
And also, the big thing is, you have to remember, you're not literally wearing masks or something for character. And that could be a vehicle to other things. It could be a vehicle to learn skills, like how to make something like this, or the Vader suit, or portable armor, whatever. Those skills can be valuable later in life. I mean, doing that solder never goes out of use in some form or fashion.
See, as a father myself, I could say I'd rather have my kid working on a costume than going outside in the streets doing all sorts of bad stuff. I'd rather do that. I'd rather have to do that.
I think one thing we can all take away from this is that everyone who does cosplay has something to share, because they put so much time and effort and they want to share it with you. They want to explain to you how much effort went into it. So if you have questions on how to make something, you find someone online, like, oh, great costume, contact them. They're not going to hide their secrets from you. They're going to want to explain, and your costume will become better just by talking to people, and you'll make friends.
Feels great.
Yeah, have fun, do you, make art, be happy.
I was gonna say, at least like with 501st and Backpack Sam and the Empire Saber Guild, it's essentially more or less like Boys and Girl Scouts, but with lightsabers. So it's a club. It's a sort of gathering. You spend time with, you meet friends. Sometimes they do even give non-con.
And it keeps you
events.
thinking young, it keeps you feeling young.
Yeah.
The big kid in you comes out, that's the best part of it all. Takes over, especially when you have a lot of stuff going on in your personal life. I'm sure everybody
Oh,
here
it's
has
our
their story.
getaway. It is
This is
exactly
one of the
what
best
I get.
distractions I can ever think about. Elaborate on what Matt said. I myself rather be doing this than be sitting at a bar like this with beer. It's just not the way to do it.
I mean, my answer is probably it's what you make of it. No matter what you like to do, what material you like to work with, or what skills you have, whether, okay, so for us, we do lightsaber combat, right? We do choreographed shows. That keeps us active. We work out for 2 hours a week together. That gives us something. It's physical activity. It gets us out of the house. It keeps us healthy. That's a good thing. Even if you're a costume maker, you learn the skills. You learn how to sew, use a machine. You learn how to work with plastics and heat. You learn how to style stuff. You know, there's always a skill that you're learning out of it. There's always something you can take away from it.
Senseless plug at 2 o'clock?
Yes.
2 to 4, we are teaching the Mustafar fight, Obi-Wan versus Anakin. Unfortunately, because of standards we have, it's 18 or up. Sign up upstairs if you want to come to the panel. It's going to be in this room, I believe. But it's on the floor. Senseless plug.
Just
Yes,
another
let
plug
them
is
wrap
that
up.
our booth is upstairs, straight up, and after you get up to the stairs, it's the second floor, and we're right there. And if you have any questions, we'll be there, so you can ask us about how we make stuff, if you have any, questions.
We're gonna wrap it up.
Nice
We have like 6 minutes.
Proxy will be right at the corner.
So I'm just gonna try to. We're just gonna run through the names. My name is Dolly Love Cosplay. You can find me on Facebook, SFans, you can all that good stuff. I'm part of Blue Rise Mag and Shinkoucon. So check us out, open upstairs, get a flyer.
I mean, I tell you like
I'm Nikki Cosplay. Find me on Facebook, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys have about making stuff or props and stuff too.
Class gatherings.
Keep it down, there's still time. And Twitter.
Oh, what I do?
No, just say your name. Yeah.
Oh, I'm Steve. I play Joe Crosswind and Dark Trevor and Saber Guild.
I'm Jen. Jenny Nalara, I think is my Facebook name if you want to find me. Obviously, I do take commission work. I also have a character page for both of my characters, Han Royale on Facebook and Darth Tenebra. So that's where you can find me.
Walter Hillias, you can find me in 2 different places. One is on Empire Saber Guild's Facebook page. There are photos and a lot of information there. As far as anybody wanting to know about source materials and where all the Vader parts come from, if you ever want to do a Vader or just want to get some sort of knowledge as to doing it, you can look into the 501st Sith Lord Detachment. My ID number is SLD21213. You can find my build there. And any information you need, it's all for free, doesn't cost you anything. Check it out.
Matt Procaccini, Caden Sunspear, or Omari Siphon, which is my Sith character I was in yesterday. You can find us, any questions you ask, the Facebook website of Empire Saber Guild, the Twitter, or the email, or whatever we have. You'll be talking to me or with my wonderful girlfriend Adrienne upstairs. So, thank you!
CosMag.com.